Boys, what's good? It's Herm. The WNBA draft is tomorrow, Monday, April 15th. We are just one day away from Caitlin Clark entering into the WNBA. She will go first, but we'll do the whole first round. We'll get into it. But this is the second mock draft for this year that we're doing on the channel. We hadn't done any before this year, but with how big the game has gotten, especially with Caitlin Clark leading the charge, we wanted to get into it and show the ladies some love. So we're doing the second mock on the channel. It is tomorrow, and there's been some changes since my last mock, which I did a week before, so that was like 6 days ago from when this comes out, I believe. So there are some different picks, but the top four has changed in some order, but the players are going to stay the same. And then we see some changes throughout the mock as well. We'll get some NBA videos up soon, one about Wemby's rookie year and one about the Sixers with Embiid entering the playoffs. But let's not waste any time. Let's just get into the mock, the second and final mock draft, with the draft happening tomorrow. So at pick number 1, you already know who it is. It is Caitlin Clark, point guard, going to the Indiana Fever out of Iowa, the all-time leading scorer in college basketball history. 22 years old, standing at 6 feet tall. Per 36, I'm going to do all these per 36. It makes it easier to compare players who maybe played different minutes or played in different leagues or whatever. So we're going to do it that way. 32.7 points per 36, a scoring machine. Also led the nation in assists, 9.2 there. 7.6 rebounds, a phenomenal rebounder for a guard. While not an overall great defender, does get flash plays like steals at 1.8 per 36 and hits about 4 threes per that time as well. So just a prolific scorer, one of the best players, one of the best prospects we've ever seen come into the WNBA ranks, if not the best prospect. Is going to join up with Aliyah Boston in Indiana for an elite pick and roll duo, and the ticket prices are soaring for Fever games, whether they're the away team or the home team, before she has even been drafted. It is generational stuff, the viewers that she gets. I believe over 18 million for the championship game, which is the highest basketball game in like a decade. It's insane. NBA, men's or women's, it just breaking records all over the place. She draws eyes, but we already knew she was going number 1. So let's get into number 2, and that's Cameron Brink going to the Los Angeles Sparks at number 2. This has become somewhat consensus, I would say, over the past week or so. Initially it was viewed as 1 and then a group of 3 elite players, 2 through 4, but Cameron Brink has kind of claimed the 2 spot in the eyes of many people. So she's here at number 2, out of Stanford, 22 years old as well, standing at 6'4", pretty good size, 24.5 points per 36, but the rebounding is what makes her special. At 16.8 rebounds per 36 is wild, and 5.3 blocks, is probably the best defensive player in the country, was a menace, is going to be the face of the Sparks when she lands there. 51% from the field as well, just really solid. A huge interior presence, but can also space a little bit to the mid-range. Is not really a prolific three-point shooter, I wouldn't say, but could definitely play the power forward at the pro level, so that makes her very versatile. And she can defend out on the perimeter a little bit. You don't want her on point guards, but can defend some wings, as well as being a really good interior presence. So I have her at number 2 to the Los Angeles Sparks, which is different from the last one. Last time we had Camilla Cardoso coming off South Carolina's championship win, but I think Brink has kind of solidified herself as the number 2 prospect in this draft class. At number 3, we have the Chicago Sky going with small forward Rickea Jackson out of Tennessee, also moving up a spot from the last mock draft because she's the most well-rounded player in this draft class. Can do a little bit of everything, can guard like the 1 through 4, really good defensive player, but solid score, over 20 points a game in the SEC, the toughest women's basketball conference to score in, and she was scoring at a high clip. Can also rebound really well and play make a little bit for a wing, and just feels like a star, is going to be really good at the WNBA level, and she can do a little bit of everything. She's just so versatile that she is the top talent here, so you take her at number 3. I've been going through the comments of the last mock draft as well, and it feels like a lot of fans fans think Brink should go 2, which again has become the consensus in a lot of mocks. And a lot of people really like Rickea, said maybe she should go number 2. I'm not willing to put her at number 2, but number 3 I can get behind because of the super well-rounded game that she has. So she goes to the sky at number 3. Then we move into the 4th overall pick, which is also owned by the Sparks. And I have the Sparks taking center Camilla Cardoso out of South Carolina. Yes, they already took Brink, so they were probably hoping that Jackson would fall. I think Jackson is a more natural fit alongside someone like Brink as a wing who can really score alongside a talented big, but the talent is too good here at number 4 to pass up. I just don't think you can take anyone else here. Maybe you trade the pick and someone else really wants Cardoso. That's something you could look at. But I don't think you can take anyone else here because the talent is undeniable. Was dominant in the Final Four. Manhandled both of the teams they played against. The NC State team, and then Iowa was dominant against both, felt unstoppable in the post, and is a staggering 6'7", which is huge at the WNBA level, is a behemoth in terms of height, and is going to be really difficult to stop even at the pro level. 14 rebounds, 4 blocks, is a little behind Brink in both categories, but still, her game is very impressive, and has been super efficient with a lot of her shots coming in the paint, 59.5% from the field this season for South Carolina, and I just think she is a top 4 talent and would be the top pick in a lot of recent drafts as well because of the height and the dominance in the post. Is good on both ends of the floor as well. Really good shot blocker and interior scorer, not one-dimensional at all, and I like how she would fit here talent-wise, and I think because of Brink's ability to shoot the mid-range and space it a little bit, you can play the two of them together if you chose to do so in kind of a Twin Towers lineup for the Sparks. At number 5, I have the Dallas Wings going point guard JC Sheldon out of Ohio State, the best perimeter defender in this draft class. Initially, I had them going Angel Reese in the last draft because I didn't love the center situation they had there, but I had some fans comment to me that they liked the centers that they had. They didn't think that they needed that. So I said, okay, let's look at JC Sheldon, who I think is the best guard on the board right here. So she goes number 5 instead of Angel Reese. I'm not sure she's necessarily a better talent, but maybe fit-wise it is. Just a really good defensive player. Not bad offensively either. 19 points per 36, 4 assists, but 2.1 steals stands out. Led Ohio State to a really good season, one of the best teams in the Big Ten. Not as good as Iowa, obviously, at the top of the Big Ten, but Ohio State was very, very good this season, led by JC Sheldon. Don't let an early loss in the tournament fool you. She was a really good leader for this team, and I think she's going to bring that to the next level. So she goes here at number 5 for me to the Dallas Wings. At number 6, we have the Washington Mystics, and this stays as the pick I had it last time with Aaliyah Edwards. I think they need a forward, and she's a very good one who can defend the 2 through 4 with ease, a very versatile defensive player, and can play more on the wing than someone like Angel Reese ever could. So has the ability to space a little better, and I like how she's already played with stars, played alongside Paige Beckers at UConn, and fit in seamlessly. Only 21 years old as well, so that is an edge over some other players in this class. 6'3", 21 and 11 per 36 for UConn. Just a really solid, big, power forward type player. 2 steals, 1.2 blocks, is going to be a very solid defensive player. 3.2 stocks per 36. And I just thought she looked really good with UConn throughout the tournament, was named an All-American this season, and just is really solid. And the Mystics are getting a good pick here at number 6. At number 7, here we have Angel Reese, who might be the most polarizing player in this draft class, but don't let the haters fool you. She's not bad. She's not a bad player at all. She led LSU to the championship in her first season there. They weren't even close to that before that. She transfers in from Maryland. They win the title in her first season, and she wins Most Outstanding Player of the Final Four. Then she takes them to the Elite Eight this year. Has basically had a double-double her entire career, like 20 and 11. It's just a walking double-double machine, and is really good in the post. 15 rebounds per 36 as well is absurd. Really talented rebounder. I had the Lynx going with Elizabeth Kitley last time because I thought they needed a big that badly, but they luck out with Angel Reese still on the board and take her instead. Kitley will likely miss most, if not all, of the season with a torn ACL, so you get a player you can play right now in Angel Reese, and one that is developing a shot. We've seen it in workouts. Who knows if that will sustain, but Reese, a very talented player. I feel like more a big long term because of her ability to finish in the post, whether it's the fast break or in the half court. She's just really good down low. I don't like the jumper right now, so feels like more of a big to me. Is going to struggle guarding people on the perimeter as well. So if you can keep her as a center, maybe a power forward, I like that a lot better than some people saying she projects as a wing at the next level. So if you're a team that can play her as a big, I would do that, and I think that makes the most sense. But let's get into the pick here at 8, which is the Chicago Sky with point guard Isabel Boras coming out of Australia. Again, I think this is great value here for Chicago. They took Rickea Jackson with their first pick, and now they get a guard to go alongside the wing they already took. Was first team all WNBL, the Australian Pro League. Really impressive at just 19 years old. She's going to develop a lot, become a lot better player than she is right now, and she's already very good, as you can see, because of the first team. You just don't see players often be this impressive at a young age in foreign leagues. Usually it's kind of decent stats and you're projecting what they might become, but she was really good this year in Australia. 18 points per 36, 5.4 rebounds, and 2.1 steals, and one of the best players in that league as a 19-year-old. I think she's going to make an impact at the WNBA level sooner rather than later. At number 9, we have the Dallas Wings. I have them taking small forward / power forward Alyssa Pili out of Utah. They already got JC Sheldon. Now let's get a bigger player who can be really physical in the post, maybe do some pick and roll type stuff. 22 years old, 6'2", started her career, I believe, at USC, then transfers into Utah and just completely transforms herself into a star there. 27 points per 36, I believe, is the best outside of Caitlin Clark in this draft class. A prolific scorer from all 3 levels of the floor, 55% from the field and 40% from deep. There are people who have questions whether she can translate her game at Utah to the pro level, but if she can, you're getting super value here at number 9. I've seen some people have her a little higher, maybe ahead of Angel Reese or something like that, but I don't mind it here at 9, and I think it is good value. I had her at 12 in my last mock. I jumped her to 9 here. I just think, looking at her game a little more, it is really impressive how she transformed it, and I think the work ethic and the ability and just personality that she wants to grow, a growth mindset, mind you, I think is perfect at number 9, and I think it's going to make her a very good WNBA player because she works on her game maybe harder than a lot of other players in this draft class. We move on to number 10 with the Connecticut Sun, and like the last mock, I have them going point guard Dyaisha Fair. They need a guard and getting a really solid scorer. I believe a top 5 scorer in women's college history in Dyaisha Fair. I like it. Yeah, she's undersized at 5'5", but is used to being undersized and isn't going to get picked on. She's a fighter and is going to be very physical despite her size and put up a lot of a fight in a lot of matchups. I just don't think she's going to get aggressively targeted despite being undersized. 2 steals per 36, 2.3, I believe is the highest we've talked about to this point. Causes a lot of havoc on the defensive end. Is a pest down low. In terms of getting down low and poking the ball out from ball handlers. 21 points, 4.4 rebounds, 3.4 assists. Not super efficient, but you're hoping that gets better. Whether it does or not, she is a gifted scorer and a pest on the defensive end despite her size. I don't think the size is as much of a concern as maybe some people might think. At number 11, we have the New York Liberty, and this is a player that wasn't in the first round for me last time. She is now. Point guard / shooting guard Nika Muhl Muhl out of UConn. I loved how she played in the tournament. I thought she did a really good job on Caitlin Clark in the game against Iowa, and just is a lockdown defender. Two-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year, 5'10", a solid size for a guard in the WNBA level, 23 years old, and has just been a staple for UConn for years now. 7.8 points per 36. She's not an offensive player, but that's fine because the Liberty are stacked with offensive talents, from Sabrina Ionescu to Brianna Stewart to other players that are already there. They have another former MVP as well, so they don't really need offense. We saw in their run to the finals and the loss last season that they need more defense, and getting a defensive-minded guard I think makes a lot of sense, as well as someone who can play make for others. 7.3 assists per 36. Her assist numbers were even better as a junior than they were as a senior, so there might be even more playmaking there that people don't recognize, as well as just being a knockdown shooter, 40% from deep. You can put her off ball, maybe she spots up from the corner, but just feels like a really good complementary role player that the Liberty would really need and could be plug and play right away as a very polished player right now. Has a huge fan base. Fans love Nika Muhl. I see TikTok edits of her all the time, and she just has a lot of fans that really like her because of her looks and because of the way she plays. Just is a defensive dog, and also happens to be very attractive. That's true. But Nika Muhl, one of the most fun players in the country, was a complimentary piece alongside Aaliyah Edwards and Paige Beckers at UConn, and the Huskies potentially getting 2 first-round picks with Edwards and Nika Muhl. And then number 12, the last pick of the first round, I have the Atlanta Dream going shooting guard Charisma Osborne out of UCLA, 23 years old, 5'9", 15 points per 36, 5.7 rebounds, really solid rebounder at 5'9", 4.4 assists and 1.8 steals, is a pretty well-rounded player, isn't going to be a star on offense. Last time they got Alyssa Pili out of Utah, which would have been better as an offensive anchor, but she's not on the board, so you take Charisma Osborne. That means Naidu Pouch is not in the first round out of Australia, who I did have in the first round last time, but is really unpolished, a raw prospect, and not projected to be a good offensive prospect, so getting Osborne I think makes a little more sense. No, Kitley or Pouch both dropped from the last mock, and Muhl and Osborne rise up. But that'll do it for this mock. The first round, all 12 picks. I believe there are 3 rounds. There's definitely a second, and I think there's a third. But because there's only 12 teams, a lot of times even second round picks don't make the actual teams for next season. I know Alexis Morris was a big one going into last year, who was a huge player on LSU's championship team and then didn't make the team that selected her, which is really unfortunate. They need to expand. There need to be more teams. I'd be in favor of going from 12 to 16, but we'll see if that ever happens. Right now it just isn't that way, so it's really hard for players to get in when they deserve to, like Alexis Morris or like a Kate Martin from Iowa this year, who just is a very talented player. We saw a big moment player in the tournament this year, but it just feels like she probably won't make a WNBA team because of how much talent there is and the few teams that they have. So that's unfortunate, but is what it is, I guess. But that is the first 12 picks in the mock. That is the draft for this season. It is tomorrow, Monday, April 15th. Watch it if you can. Unfortunately, I have work, so I'll have to tape it and watch it later. But I'm very excited. The most excited I've ever been for a WNBA draft. I'm actually going to watch it. I'm going to really enjoy it, and I think it's going to be a fun time. So watch it if you can. Hopefully you enjoyed the mock. Let me know your thoughts on the picks down below, and think about subscribing. I'm on the road to 14,000 subscribers. So if you enjoy, think about sticking around. I talk about the NBA. I talk about women's college. I talk about the WNBA. I talk about men's college. If it's hoops, I'll talk about it. So if you like hoops, think about sticking around. But that'll be it for me. Have a good one, guys. Peace.